It's a little bit of, is this autumn darkness today?
I'm missing the hairdresser. It was like bright pink and then blue at the end, but now it's like sad.
Go. So Kelly, I give total applause to you for being up first today. And if anyone, you wouldn't have noticed it, but in that video, there was a bit where everybody was lying down and then the bodies started all popping up. Kelly was one of those bodies, because we had the idea, a bunch of us, to go sleep up a hill one night. And I think the funny part of that was there was bits that were nice and flat, and then there was that slopey part, and all of them were like, no, let's sleep on the slope, it'll be fun, we'll have a beautiful view in the morning. But by the morning, we decided that sleeping on slopes in bivy bags is really not the thing to do, because all you do is keep sliding down and down and down. So lessons were learnt, as well as we all learnt as well. And wherever Nicola is, Nicola and I were avidly texting and Googling at about 3/4 in the morning, because there were all these bangs going off. I thought it was someone who was shooting. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, were these like bright coloured bodies all sleeping on a hill at night? But they were actually bird scaring noises. But I do believe Nicola was Googling if there was a massacre of gunshots in the area at that time. But we weren't, we were all safe sleeping on our hill up in, I think we were in Buckinghamshire. It was the border from us. So yes, Kelly was one of those bodies, wasn't he? I think, Kelly, did you sleep through all the banging? I can't remember if you were one of the bodies that did. My friend Zoe slept through the whole thing.
No, I didn't get any sleep. It was my first time bivvying. There was no sleep. I like slowly made my way off my like super soft flooring and ended up on the grass. So yeah, it was an interesting night.
But you would bivvy again, hopefully?
I would. I think I will freely admit I'm a summer bivvier for definite. Otherwise I'm tent girl all the way.
I would like to go bivvying in the snow. I think that could be quite an experience, to dig like a snow cocoon. That would be quite exciting. So I'm going to hand over the floor to Kelly. Kelly's going to come and share with us an adventure that she created really in lockdown 1, which now seems ridiculously a long time ago. So I'm going to hand over to you, Kelly, and listen to all your adventures of lockdown 1.
Cool, thank you. So I thought it might be a bit more interesting than just listen to me chat, to have a few like photos. So I'm going to try. Oh, it won't let me do it. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, so I'm looking at Nadia, looking like she's typing. Nadia, are you making Kelly a host, co-host?
Should be able to do it. I don't think it's only, yeah, all participants can share at the moment.
Okay, let me try. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's working.
Good to go. Lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Let me share this. Will you guys tell me if you can see it?
Yep, it's up. Well done,
yeah?
Kelly.
Cool.
Excellent.
Okay, great. So Claire asked me to chat about, I guess, an adventure I had in lockdown, and I was like, oh, okay. But for me, it was more than I guess the running. So in lockdown, I did start running, but there's a little bit of a backstory that comes before this. And if you guys are wondering, if you're seeing my video as I'm talking, if you're wondering why I'm looking over the place, it's because I've got a few screens, and so if it looks like I'm looking down, don't worry, I am looking at you guys. So actually, this started in 2014, and I was a runner in 2014. I can safely say that I was running like maybe 2-3 times a week, and I kept doing this until we started to remodel the house. And for some stupid reason, once we'd started ripping out walls and everything was covered in dust and we were eating just out of a microwave, I didn't go running again. And I kind of missed it. And then since 2014 all the way up to this year, I was like, oh, I would really like to run again, but I just can't get into it. Occasionally I'd run, but it wouldn't get regular. And I would quite like to get eventually back to this person who did the water bucket challenge, if you can remember that, back in 2014. So we then take a big step forward to December 2019, and the Swines at Great Run sent me this email. And I don't know if you guys know much about Great Runs, unless you're a runner, maybe you don't, or a swimmer, but they organise local runs every Sunday. They also organise like 10Ks, they do swimming events. And, the Swines had said to me, here's an email, come on, go run Manchester's 10K. And for me, I only used to run in 2014 like 4K, so it wasn't very far. And I guess it was December, you just like stuffed your face through all that Christmas food. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like next year, I'm going to run 10K. And for me, that's quite a big deal. And it got to about February, and I was like, I haven't done any running. I probably should start. One thing you should probably know about me is that I work for who I would consider the most amazing chocolate company in the world, which means most of my day I spend talking about Cadbury or Oreo or Green and Blacks or all those yummy snacks. And while I'm at the office in Birmingham, I spend quite a lot of the day eating them, if I'm quite honest. So, I'm a curvy girl. And one of the things about working in Birmingham and living in Manchester is that I travel down to Birmingham and spend 3 days a week there and then travel back for weekends. And when I'm down there, I stay in an Airbnb, and I stay with a lovely lady called Pat. She's like super posh, but I rent a room from her. And Pat and I in the evening, I think she must be in her late 70s. We sit down and we have like little chat while I'm having dinner, because I'm not allowed food anywhere else in the house. And I end up telling Pat a bit about me, and she'll tell me about her. And I ended up telling Pat that I'd signed up for this Manchester 10K. It was in May, hadn't done any running. And she was like, well, you better start running, Kelly, hadn't you? And I was like, yes, I will. So anyway, the next week came, and it was Monday night, and I was packing my bag, and I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to take some running gear because I should go running tomorrow. And on that Tuesday, I went down. I get up at like 4:30 to get down to work by 9. And I'd finished my day of work, and I came home, and I was like, the last thing I wanted to do was run. But I walked in the door and I said hello to Pat, because obviously this was before lockdown. And Pat was like, oh, are you going running tonight? And I was like, oh my God, I've actually got to go running tonight. So Pat made me go running, and I'm really glad she did, because actually where I stay and where the company is based is in Bourneville. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to Bourneville in Birmingham, but it's actually like really nice. They have these amazing like signs everywhere. The houses are really like old and characterful, and actually it's just a really pleasant place to run. So I did for the first, I guess we're in like February now, so I was down there maybe like 2, 3, 4 weeks, and I did get a few runs down. And one of the things it allowed me to do was explore where I work, because I realized I quite often just drove down, worked, went to my Airbnb, went to work, drove back up north, and I didn't actually know anything about Birmingham. And then lockdown came. Boris appeared on the telly with his really scruffy hair, and basically I didn't go to work anymore. I was working from home. There was no Pat to say, go on, go running, you need to train. And basically I just turned to online wine tastings. We bought some amazing food from bakeries, and I basically just ate my way through the first couple of weeks of lockdown, which was pretty tasty. Now, there was a lot about lockdown that was bad, but there was also some things I loved about especially the first couple of weeks about lockdown. I have 2 cats. This is one of them. This is Ali. Ali decided that every virtual call I was going to do, she'd come join me. She may come join tonight. I apologize if you get a cat bum on my little video. But, she'd be here. And I guess it was one thing that picked me up, because I found actually working from home, I was working really long hours. Like quite a lot of the days I was working 12 hours a day. I was getting really stressed, and actually I even had to stop doing some things I love. So I used to volunteer for Say Yes More and help run Manchester Yes Stories, and I had to email Dave and Em and just go like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore, because I feel like there's too much going on, and like I was working really long hours, and I was just putting more and more guilt on myself. And I also had this kind of nagging feeling in the back of my head that like, oh my God, there's still this 10K. Like you need to get running, girl. You've like stuffed your face, you've put on weight, you need to get out there and at least maybe get some fresh air, and maybe that will help you get away from work. So I started to think more about my health, and because I guess we all saw COVID and like people were getting sick, and I was like, oh, I'm just staying indoors, and like with me and Mark. And I kind of needed to sort myself out. So this is my other half, Mark, and he was like, let's go on a run. And I was like, oh, okay. So he took me on a run, and every like 2 minutes we stopped because I was like exhausted out on breath. But he took me for a run around this lake that I literally didn't even know existed at all. Excuse me, like literally had no idea. We live on this housing estate. It's not, I don't love it. I'd love to move to the country. But he was like, all right, I'll take you out there and we'll kind of do this. On the 27th of March, salvation literally came, and there was an email from Great Run that said, we're really sorry, but recent developments of COVID have made the Great Manchester Run is delayed. I probably was the only person who signed up to a 10K that was like, oh my God, yes, they moved it. I mean, they hadn't cancelled it, so it wasn't complete relief, but it was like, okay, I've got more time. And I think the way that I got too excited about this, Mark, my other half, looked at me and was like, Kel, do you realise like you have been doing the odd run? Maybe we should use this time that they postponed it to kind of like sort ourselves out. So we kind of did our Corona challenge, where we decided that maybe it would be cool if when we go back at the end of summer, because we kind of thought the world would be normal then, that we would be like amazingly skinny and like look great. But a lot of it was more about looking after ourselves. And so we decided that we'd do a Corona challenge. I don't know how well you guys can see my camera, but like we even did like little charts for the fridge where we put like our weight along the top, because like ideally we wanted to lose some weight, but like exercises, I'd like note down where I went running. I also like joined a stylist to see if I could get a bit more funky. So when that first day, hopefully in like September, when I walk back in the office, I'd be like, ta-da. And as part of this, I also started measuring the runs that I do. And I was running quite a lot on my own, because if I ran with Mark, I felt guilty that I was slowing him down, and he ran too quick. So I was like out of breath, and I was like, I'm not a runner. And then these really annoying people at Great Run sent another email and said, right, I'm sorry. Yes, we've delayed it, but you could do Great Run solos. And they were challenges where you could enter 7 miles, 7K, 50K, and 100K. I mean, nutters. And I read it and I was like, right, all right, on your bike. And I just thought, nah, it's not for me. So anyway, in the meantime, some very cheesy photos. But I thought, if I'm going to run occasionally, I'm going to keep doing this Corona challenge with Mark. I'll buy myself some decent gear. So I got myself some new trainers. I was listening and using Nike Run to track my apps and doing guided runs. And they were like, you need a hat in the rain. So I was like, okay, if I buy a hat, then there's no excuse for me not to go out. And then I don't know if Susie's on this, but Susie is the traveling photo addict on Instagram, and she posted that she'd signed up to 100K, and literally it like totally blew my mind. I was like, who on earth can do 100K in a month? That is like insane. But it made me actually then look at my app and go, oh, how much have I run this month? And actually I'd run, I think, about 25, 30K in a month. And for me, that's like super a lot. So I, on the 11th of May, signed up to do 50K in a month, which is a bit insane. And I still think it's a bit insane. And I basically then planned my runs and did a little bit more every run that I was going to go out. And I'm super competitive. So I decided, I'm going to do this even if it kills me. One of the things that it meant though was I'd got these nice little 3K routes. I've got a 2K route. I've got like a 5K route. Like that was it. But it meant that I had to go further. And what it meant was I found all these awesome places. So like turns out there's another lake, and there was loads of geese and stuff. And there was this amazing country lane, which I now love. And I saw foxes and badgers. And I kind of just saw more of where I live. Which is really great. And sometimes on runs I go out and I'd be like, I don't really know where I'm going here, but I now need to make it another half a K longer. Where can I like divert? And I found some really cool places. So on the 6th of June, I finished my 50K in 1 month. This is me like super hot and sweaty. I'm not a pretty runner. I'm like a beetroot runner. And I was like pretty chuffed. And I realized that what kept me running was that I kind of wanted to do this Corona challenge, but I kind of didn't want to let myself down and not get the medal. And it's not even a pretty medal, if I'm completely honest. It's just, you know, a tatty bit of plastic, but it meant so much more. And then I got a little bit addicted. So I then did more great solo runs. So I ticked off the 7 mile and the 7K because like that was more achievable. And then I did an active challenge that was 21 activities in a month. And even though some of those you could walk, and then the swines at Great Run said, oh, we've cancelled the 10K, but you can run it at home. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to run 10K now. And the 10K is literally the furthest that I run. And I'd only ever done it once, and I managed to just about do it again. If I'm honest, I nearly killed myself, but I did it, and I got my medal. And it kind of spurred me on to think, actually, I probably can run more than I think, and maybe it's some things in my head that are stopping me. And actually, my runs became less about the distance and more about being outdoors. And certainly, excuse me, I prefer running at lunchtime to get away from people talking about chocolate all day, if I'm honest. Or cookies, which is the new thing. So I started to really enjoy it, and I guess it gave me confidence to go other places, certainly on my own, because I knew that my fitness wouldn't be an issue. So Tom, who's the Chronic Adventurer on Instagram, he went to Mamtor, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I was like, that looks like a cool place, I'm going to go there. And so I did. I went there. I went on a 10-mile walk, because also in the background I have a challenge to walk 10 miles in every county in the UK. So I thought, well, I'll tick off this one. Can't remember what it is right now. And it also seemed appropriate to eat a mince pie in the middle of summer at the top of this hill, because quite frankly, 2020 was completely upside down. Oh, the cat's joined. Apologies if she comes. So I guess my running kind of enabled me to feel a bit more equipped to do the other stuff that I wanted, and feel okay that I was on my own. I did 2 8K runs, which was quite a long run for me, in like 1 week, and then the next week, and I started getting pain in my hip. And unfortunately, I've got inflammation of one of my muscles over my joint in my hip. So I then went to the physio, and she told me I couldn't run. And if I'm honest, it was a bit of a blow, because I was like, oh my God, I've just got back into running. I'm doing it, like, what? But what it did mean was she said I could walk, but I couldn't run. So all those lovely places that I'd found while I was running, we were now walking around. So if it was back to the lake, turns out there's some nice woods. There's even like a reservoir, which has a really nice path around it. And it really made me get out there and kind of explore and keep up the getting away from work and the stress and everything else. And, you know, thankfully, this week I got told that I could go back to running. So I'm pretty chuffed about that. And I guess where I wanted to leave was this year, 2021. So I don't want what I did last year to just be forgotten. And now I've been told I can get back into running, which is awesome. I kind of want to keep looking forward. And at the beginning of the year, the Swines from Great Run sent me another challenge, where in January you could do 21 activities in the month, and that can be walking or running. So I started, and I've already done quite a few walks. And today I did my first kind of run. It was like 2 minutes run, 2 minutes walk, which is very painful to do when you're used to just finishing a loop. And I was horrendously out of breath. But I feel like I've got back into it. And I guess the one thing that I kind of wanted to leave you guys with is, even if you just start exploring where you live, even if it's just a walk, maybe it's not a run, then you will be surprised about what is around. I live on this huge housing estate, and actually all these really nice places are all around. And sometimes maybe people just need a nudge from other people, and maybe if you need a nudge to go running, here's your nudge. Go do it, and then let me know that you've gone for a run. That would be super cool. If you need a nudge to go for a walk, do it. Here's your nudge. And then I guess the only other thing is, even if you just need a nudge to get away from work for like 5 minutes because you're working from home and the hours run through the day, maybe think of me, hopefully, or think of this talk anyway, and maybe that's your bit of a nudge to get out there and have some fresh air. That's me.
Oh, Kelly, just listening to you, I'm not a runner, but you're making me think, oh, would I want to have a go?
Well, I think the first thing to think about is that first run. If you're going to try it, it may not be the greatest, but like the second one, you're like, oh, I've done this before. I can do this. Like you've got a bit more of sass in you, I think.
I've got a couple of things that I would like to talk to you about, but I'm just thinking gives people an opportunity to start popping some questions for Kelly into the chat, and then Caroline and Nicola, I'll ask you to have a look at them, and then we can throw them out to you, Kelly. Kelly, can you stop sharing your screen and then everyone can reappear? Oh, amazing, yeah, thank you. Do you know what I really loved when you said about that your running has really helped you find your local area, because I think that's something in lockdown, it's been massive, and I think it's something that I know, because I am now back where I live, whereas I was with my partner last time, is it's rediscovering where you are around you. And what I think doubly backed it for me with you is when you said you were doing it running, and then when your running couldn't happen, it wasn't suddenly like, well, I can't go, everything's rubbish. You had almost lovely places to strive to walking. So it was almost, you could still enjoy them, but it was just at a different pace, which was just absolutely fabulous.
And definitely, and even like the different time of day, like a different time of year now, it's like more wintry, and I started like in the heat of summer, which is not a good idea. So if you're going to start, go now. And it just seeing how things had changed like through the season, it's really lovely.
And also you've made so many like little, I think could be slogans on t-shirts and stuff, like when you were talking about like your gear, like you were like, I'm going to do this, I want some gear to inspire me, and it was almost, it sounded like at the beginning having some of those hooks really helped you get going, and then it sounded like you said, you got a bit addicted, you almost didn't need them, but to start with, like you bought yourself new trainers. Do you think 2021, is there a piece of gear like that's going to get you going and get you going, or do you think you're already going now, you don't need some gear for inspiration?
Oh, I always need a bit of gear, if I'm honest, because I bought, like through that year, I bought new trainers, I bought new trousers, I bought some AirPods, which are like game changing. And I think this year for me, probably a good jacket that, I mean, I get really warm. I usually run in a t-shirt even when it's snowing, but like I would love a jacket that is waterproof, so that like literally everything isn't soaked down through my bra and to my skin when I run. Because even today I went out for 20 minutes and I was like, yeah, it was soaking.
And I love that you said like you're a beetroot runner, and because I think when you think of the barriers that stop you going out, it's like, I haven't got the kit, I don't have the motivation, oh, what am I going to look like? And what I really liked is you did it anyway. So even if you think, well, I'm going to look like a beetroot, I'm going to look like a beetroot. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Did you get people commenting when you were running past them things? Did people wave and did people interact with you?
Well, if I'm honest, when I was in Birmingham, when I did that first run, there was a runner who came running like the other way, and she like held up her hand and was like, don't not high five me. And I was like, okay. And I high fived her before COVID. And I think then after COVID, I've noticed, I mean, I love the North because I am actually from the South, I will say, but I love the North because everybody talks to you. And I've noticed actually in COVID, people kind of look down or don't talk to you when you walk past them in the street. It's kind of a weird thing that's happened. But sometimes when you're a runner, they kind of have a smile. The first thought in my head is, oh my God, that's because like I'm fat and like my trousers are slit, or my leggings are see-through, or I'm beetroot. But then I'm just like, no, it's just because I'm running. It's fine. And I think with one of my other friends that I was talking to, we described it as a beep shield. So there's a swear word that I will not mention, but we had this shield where actually it didn't matter what we were doing, what we looked like when we run. We had our shield up. So as soon as a thought like that came in my head that I'm like wobbly and maybe I look like a duck running down the road, I'm like, no, shield, it's fine. I'm just going to keep going.
That's the new strategy.
Yeah.
I wonder if Usain Bolt has a shield like that. He does as well.
Maybe.
I really liked like you sharing this, sharing the story to this group of, gosh, lovely 68 of us. But you posted things on social media, which is lovely that you got inspired by Susie, the traveling lady who, the traveling something
She's
addict.
like the traveling photo addict, I think is her Instagram thing.
It's interesting how people posting things, and I suppose it's sort of hopefully it's sort of promoting people in this group that you might think, gosh, I've only, like you said, I only ran a few miles, but actually for someone else who's never run any miles, that's 5k or 5 miles is a long way. And if you can do it, well, maybe I can, because you had Susie going, gosh, that's loads. But actually, you were getting up there. You did 50.
Yeah.
Towards you're going up. Do you think you'll get to the 100 this year?
I would like to. I mean, last year I ended up doing the next one, which was 75k. And that's the point I hurt myself. So we'll see. We'll see if the physio lets me. But I'm using the physio as a crutch this week. She told me on Monday I could go running, and I didn't go running till today. So I think it would be a nice target if by the end of the year I could get that 100k one.
Amazing.
But I did sign up for a medal. I mean, God, these medals are like, they're not like anything big, but for me they're like a gonna do this. I've signed up for one which is to do 500k for the year, like in the year, and you can also walk it as well. So I think like towards the end of the year that probably give me a bit more pressure to be like, oh, you're way away, off you go.
Yeah. So when we finish talking, it'd be great if you put because you mentioned them, but put it in the chat, the company that you've been doing this with.
Yeah,
And
sure. Before
I pass over to Caroline, Nicola is going to throw out the questions from the group, is you also mentioned your other challenge, which I know because I did one of them with you. Do you want to let people know about your other 10 mile? Because you might have people in this community that when we can go out can support you with your other challenge.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So a couple of years ago I set myself the challenge to walk 10 miles in every county in the UK. And the reason I did that was because I wanted something that sounded a bit cool, and something that maybe I thought I would never do, but kind of make me do it. And I also wanted to see more of this country. So I spent a lot of time traveling with work and kind of wanted to think actually what exists in the UK. So I've done quite a few counties near me. So like Yorkshire, Lancashire, I've done London, I've done Buckinghamshire with Claire, and I've done a few down south. But yeah, if anybody else is in a specific county or wants to do a walk somewhere, definitely get in touch. And I would love to walk with some people after COVID. It'd be really good, because whilst I do enjoy a solo walk, there's nothing like having a sit down and a chat and a natter with people. And then also I will say I am quite a slow walker. There'll be lots of breaks if there are hills. So.
Ours was completely flat, and
Yeah,
I'm not going to promise, but she did come with chocolate. So, you know, there's no other motivator. Out of her bag about a few miles in came this massive bar of chocolate. So if you're a chocolate fan and you want to go for a walk, Kelly's your person. Where can people find you, Kelly? Like if they want to message you and things, is there some way to get hold of you that's best?
Yeah, I guess the best place is probably Instagram. So I'm Brightly Coloured Adventures, mainly because I'm usually brightly coloured, not at the moment. But yeah, that's probably the main place. I don't tend to go on Facebook quite so much, so Instagram.
Perfect. Lovely. I'm going to stop all mine because obviously you and me are chatters and we could chat probably the whole night away. But Caroline and Nicola, are there questions from our lovely people that are in our chat room tonight?
Yes, there is a few questions here, but a lot of support for the Beetroot Runners Club. So you're not alone. Woohoo! I'm part of that as well. This cheek's gone pink. It goes absolutely bright red when I run. So lots of support for beetroot running. But one question here is, Kelly, do you always run solo? And if so, how do you motivate yourself to get out?
Most of the time I run solo. I only ever run with someone else, and that would be my other half, because he said I want to go for a run, or I've said I want to go for a run, and he's like, you're not going on your own, I'm coming with you. And I'm a bit like, all right, because I know there's going to be this thought in my head that I'm like slowing him down. But actually running with him has been really good, because it's made me pace myself better and run a bit faster. So once I get back up to speed, I'm definitely up for running with people. And I guess if I do run on my own, I have that chart still on my fridge of like how many K I want to do, or like for next week I've got like I need to run twice and there's not a distance. And I think having something in front of you, or you know, I've signed up to more cheesy medals. I mean, I'm gonna have a wall full of like cheesy medals that are worth about 2p, but for me they're like, if nothing else, there's something I can get at the end, because I am quite competitive, although I hide it a lot. But it just gives me something to aim for and say, oh yeah, done that, tick.
Medals are great motivation. I love it. So there is another one here. Kelly, how do you pick the right trainers when you can't get to a shop? Do you know about that? Can you get your gait assessed remotely? Is that something that's possible?
I'm not sure. I don't know if people like ASICs do it. I think I a couple of years ago got my gait like analyzed, and I would definitely say if there is, I don't know if there's anyone virtually doing it, but if there is, like after this hopefully knockdown will finish soon, I would definitely recommend doing it, because I used to have really bad pains in my shins and calves, and as soon as I got better trainers, it kind of all went away. And this year what I did is I found my old trainers and they were like getting a bit like rubbish. I just bought the same version but in a newer one, and they are slightly different, and probably hopefully this year if I run in them more I will change them again, and I will go to a shop. But I have to say that's where I am I used to be a runner, maybe a runner, I don't know, beetroot runner. But I'm sure there's some awesome people out here who probably run more than me that maybe will know if you can do it online. But I would definitely recommend getting your gait tested for definite.
Fab. I think there might have been a few references to getting remote. I've just been scrolling a bit further down. So if you're looking for a remote gait assessment, I think there's a way to do that. I just can't find the message now, it's vanished. Caroline, were there any other questions that you'd spotted?
Somebody asked about the Walk 500 challenge and what it was.
Yeah, so whilst I was looking for medals, I went to every website to find people that would do challenges for a month or challenges for a year, because that seems to be what I respond best to. And I think it was UK Virtual Runners. I'll check it out and I'll put it in the thing. They do challenges that last over the year, so you can buy one challenge where you can get medals that do a January, February, March, like monthly ones. And then there is this one where you can do 500k, you can do 500 miles, or if you're a right like nutter, you can do like 1,000k or 1,000 miles in a year, which is super extreme. Maybe in a few years time I might give that a crack. But they've got a 500k one on that, which I signed up to. It's not very expensive. I think it's like £14 or something.
Amazing, like you said, a little bit of a medal is motivating because it's something to strive for. So if you're someone who likes that sort of structure, having something to achieve, and now you've got quite a collection. I think you did a picture of them when you were holding them all, and I was like, oh my gosh, from the girl who hadn't got any, you then had a real collection. I suppose the more you get, that becomes your motivation. Is like, I want to get the next one. I want to go to the next one. So I think it's a great thing. And yeah, if you could pop in the chat where that's from, because it sounds like some people might be interested in maybe not even running. I love the fact that you could also walk it, or I suppose you could cycle it. For the one that's the 21 in a month challenge, you could scoot it, skateboard it, cycle it, swim it. You could do anything. It's not based on just running or walking as well. So that would be cool. Lovely. Any final questions before we let Kelly go off and reward herself with chocolate? I think it'd probably be more likely wine for you though, won't it?
Oh, I've banned myself from wine and chocolate in January. It sucks. So there's be a glass of water.
So you're over halfway through the month now. So your challenge, you're over the hump of the month. So you're on the downward slope to the wine bottle. Lovely. Kelly, on behalf of everyone, brilliant. You know, it's amazing to hear what you've been up to, and I'm excited for you to keep posting on your site about how you're doing with now that you can run again. But don't go flying at it too quickly, because I'm sure you want to get back and get into the groove of it. So absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Fabulous. So this is